Hello there. Welcome to Work Tips Pro. This is where we help project leaders stand out at work. My name is Mukhtar, and today we're going to be talking about career opportunities for project leaders, program managers, project managers, what have you. And I'm going to be having this discussion with a very special guest, a very capable guest. His name is David Barrett. David is a professional speaker, regular blogger, podcast host, the author of 8 books, and a project management education advisor to numerous Canadian universities. David's career includes the creating and directing of a project management conference called Project World, a training company, a software development firm, a speaker bureau, a project management portal called projecttimes.com, a project management event series called Project Talks. And most recently, David launched a project management video website called projectbytes.com. So this is the right person to talk to about career options for project leaders. I'm really excited to get this started. Welcome to the show, David. How are you doing?
All right, I'm so well, thank you, and just thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, glad to have you. Glad to have you. So why don't we just delve right in? So I am a project manager or a program manager in the tech industry. And I look at my colleague who's an engineer, and I see that colleague has a direct path to the top. He or she can become a tech lead and then an engineering manager and then a director of engineering, a VP of engineering, and a CTO, right? So, there's a path to the top. The same goes for a product manager. They can go all the way to the top to become a chief product officer. Marketing can go all the way to a CMO, HR, chief people officer. What options exist for project managers or program managers in the tech industry?
Well, I would be quite frank and honest with you. Say it's the same thing as the engineers and the product managers as well. It's no different. And in fact, I would stand up in front of HR in any organization worldwide and say, listen, project managers make great leaders. I mean, if you're looking for someone to be a great leader in your organization and you want to start with half the puzzle taken care of, I mean, let's go find some people that know how to plan out the work and know how to manage people and get the job done and know what stress is all about and know what quality assurance and risk management is all about and know how to deal with vendors. And, on we go and we look at what project managers do. We've got half the puzzle taken care of. Now, what we haven't been put through, but neither have the product managers nor the engineers beside me, the leadership trail, the journey to becoming a good leader. And that is another whole journey. It doesn't come naturally. You see, I think the difference is we're never given we're never given the title of leader in a project management environment. We very seldom are leading a team. We're leading a team to get it done, but they never report to us typically. And that's, that leadership without authority is such a difficult piece. It's such a fascinating piece. How can I become a great leader? How can I incent people and inspire people when they don't report to me? And that's the role of that project manager. The engineers, the product managers, yes, often they're given this internal training all along, and because they're made managers of more and more and more people. Get that? We're not. Okay. That doesn't mean that we can't take those leadership positions. What we need to do is we need to make it clear that that is our journey of choice. We need to stand up and I've got actually a one-day project managers make great leaders from project management to leadership, one-day workshop. When I say, listen, the first part of this is easy, but probably maybe the most difficult, easy for me to say, you have to jump on board and believe that you can take those positions. Now, once you've done that, let's plan the journey. Tell people that's where you want to go. The key element to all that is having a plan. And not just winging it. You've got to create your own plan as a project manager because the path isn't so clear, to your point. So you need to build that strategic plan. I call it your professional strategic plan. And you need to hand it to the authorities and say, this is me in 10 to 15 years. This is me in 3 to 5 years. This is where I want to be. This is where I am. And this is how I'm going to get there. Are you on board? Can you help me? Can you support this?
Okay, that's quite interesting. So what I'm hearing you say is that project leaders, excuse me, project leaders do have an advantage in that they're building this, leadership without authority skills, which is very, very useful even when you lead people with authority, right? You need to be able to motivate, to inspire, to get people to do things without using authority necessarily. So that's an advantage. But a project leader would need to fill in the gaps in terms of whether they want to go the route of engineering management, product leadership management, marketing leadership management. But they do have an advantage, but there is a gap that needs to be filled. And this is where the plan comes in.
Exactly. There is a gap because people don't believe that that's the case. You got to knock them on the head. For so long, it's been, the project managers, they're back there. They pull it all together. They do scheduling. And, for so many years, I got involved in this business back in the early 90s when we were trying to tell people it was 3/4 education. What is a project manager? And most organizations still hadn't figured it out, especially IT. Today, yeah, they get us. But we still have a huge gap between the strategy of the organization, the senior leadership, and the work that we're doing. They have still got a disconnect. That's why I tell project leaders, project managers, listen, you got to change the language. You've got to rethink what you're doing. The tick box project manager is no longer the I built it on time, on scope. How great am I? I got my PMP. I've got 10 to 15 years experience. So what? That's baseline now. I tell your listeners, this is baseline. That's just that gets you in the door. That's the cover charge. Now, you want to be a successful project manager. You want to proceed. You want to be in a leadership position. You got to stop talking that talk. You start thinking about business value. You start thinking about the strategy of the organization and how the work that we're doing fits into the strategic plan. Got to start actually poking at the bear and saying, why are we doing this? It's a whole different language. And so it is a tough slog. We got to think differently. We got to be listened to differently. We got to talk a different language. We got to set our own plan. But we do make great leaders, and you just got to stand up and say, listen, this is where I want to go.
Yeah. Okay. So what would your advice be to someone who wants to do this plan? Like, what would be the first step?
Well, my gut says go get a coach.
Okay.
And tell your coach, that's what I want to be. You want to go play hockey? You want to be in the NHL? Go get a coach and tell them this is where you want to go. You want to become a great artist? Go get a coach, a mentor, someone that can teach you. I'm trying to play golf, man. I got to get a lesson or two. I've been struggling. Yeah. You can't do it on your own. Reach out, go find people to help you. And when I say a coach, it's a career coach. And it's someone that says, why are you here? And the answer is because I want to be someplace in 10 to 15 years, in 5 to 10 years, and I'd like some help getting there. Yeah. What a coach is going to do is they are strategic thinkers. And I hired a coach. And she sat there for 2 meetings. It was exhausting. We all want to go to the future state, don't we? We all want to go to the creative. This is what I want to be. How great is that going to be? And we want to talk about the future, whether it be strategy within our organization or strategy within my career. Stop. That's where you want to be. Now let's talk about you today. And that's what a good coach will do. And they will spend hours making sure we tear apart that onion, peel it all back. Your strengths and your weaknesses, your major assets, who you know, who you don't know, where you've been, what you've learned, how good you are and how poor you are at stuff, and learning all about you. Because a good coach, and this is something you and I can do, but it's hard to do it on our own properly.
Yeah.
But an outsider, a third party is going to say, okay, I got it. I know you now well enough. Okay, let's repeat. You want to be a senior director of IT in 8 years. Okay, let's talk about what that entails, what we got, where are the gaps, how are we going to put this into place? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the following conferences. I want you to get the following courses. Let's talk about some coaching and mentoring in the middle. So we put a plan together.
Yeah.
The IT people, our audience right now that are listening that just wish it could be true, or it's not going to happen. If you're going to sit around and wait for that phone to ring, I'm sorry. it's not going to ring because they don't get it. You've got to take the bull by the horns and say, listen, this is the plan. And God help the HR director when they sit down across from you and you say, well, can I share my professional strategic plan with you? Well, you're what? This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that, having a coach. I know that a lot of the professions that we admire, do use coaches, like, athletes, musicians, actors, they all have coaches, right? And why not do the same for your career, right? If you want to take it seriously. And there is a commitment, there is a financial commitment, but I think that if you're thinking long-term strategically where you want to end up, it's a worthwhile investment, right?
And I totally agree. And a necessary investment if you want to get someplace else. There's a difference. Let's be clear about the coaches we're talking about. I'm not talking about a project management coach. I'm not talking about a coach who will make you better at what you do today. Let's assume that you're very good at what you do today. You are a great skater. You can handle the puck well. You know how to draw. You know how to paint, whatever that is. You're good at that. But what you're telling me is you want to take this career to another plateau that is very different. It's a different responsibility, a set of responsibilities, different title, it's a different report system. It is a senior leadership position within this organization. Okay, that's a different coach.
Yeah,
that is a career coach. Love to talk about project management coaching. Great, but that's not what we're doing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, a career coach will that can see beyond just the project management lens, right?
Yeah.
All right. So next question then, what about if someone wants to grow in their career in project management, but they don't want to be people management? What options are there for that person to advance?
Did you just say, but they don't want, did you say they don't want to be people managers?
Yes, they don't want to be people. So this was a question that came in. They don't want to be people managers, but they still want to advance in their careers.
As project managers?
Yes. Project manager and program manager.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry to your listener. I was, when I was running Project World, we always cut fun videos at the beginning to get people really psyched up about the event. And I remember interviewing a fellow from EDS, used to be the technology division of General Motors, and eventually bought by Hewlett Packard. And he was very, very senior guy. And he said on the interview, the camera's going, he said, David, we've got project management figured out at EDS. I went, wow, this is going to be really good. It's a big organization, lots of projects. I said, so Al, what's the answer? And he said, just get rid of all the people. And he looked at me dead straight. It was great. It was a great line. He said, the people side is what makes it so difficult. It makes it so joyous. It makes it such a challenge. It makes it so rewarding. He said, unfortunately, it's the people that mess it all up that makes it so difficult. Project management is about people. I am so sorry. Now, if this person is in the construction engineering world, yes, I guess you could be a part of the project management culture, life cycle, part of the business, and sit in a trailer and maybe just do the scheduling bit. Yes, when we're building a downtown, any city, condominium that's 30 or 50 or 60 stories high, yeah, we tear apart the role of the project manager in such small, minute pieces. I think I could play a role without dealing with people. I'm having a tough time otherwise. It's a very tough question. I'd say, listen, if you're not a people person, I'm sorry. It's not all roses here. It's a tough call.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you that as a program manager, a lot of your time is spent dealing with people. But when I read this question, the way I understood it is, this person didn't want to manage people, as in having people reporting directly to them, right? So they could deal with people, but not, be a manager of someone, as so that was the way the question came across.
I see. Well, brilliant. Because if they can do that well, then they're gold, because that is our problem. Because 80 to 90% of us, we don't have people reporting to us. The project management, the system is set up so that we're the ones that are given the project to manage. We're the orchestra leader, but the orchestra, they don't work for us. They are marketing, and they are engineering, and they are the development team, and they are other pieces of the puzzle. And they don't report to us. So we go back to this no authority, but we got to get it done. If this person does not want these people reporting to them, I think you've got them. Probably I've got it all wrong. You're in the right place because they won't be reporting to you. But if you're good at managing people and getting the work done when they don't report to you, then all the power to you.
Yeah. That's good. All right. So what about someone who doesn't want to be limited to the corporate structure? Like, you, for example, you've done a lot of things outside of corporate. What are some options for project managers, program managers who want to maybe venture outside the corporate walls?
There is a huge market out there for contract project managers. Huge. It's lucrative. It's risky. It can be really exciting. It can be really depressing. It is not for everyone. I had a lovely chat with a very dear friend of mine last week, and he's on his fourth or fifth bank. He's done 2 telecoms. He's done an insurance company. When I say done, he says he's had 28 jobs in the last 15 years. Well, those jobs are actually contracts. And those contracts went from 3 months to 3 years. You get paid by the day. It is, you do the math. It's 6 figures instantly if you're a good project manager. But is that what you want? Are you able to be idle for 6 months? The trouble is that in order to run our own business and go get our gigs, when it ends, we don't have any irons in the fire because we've been so busy managing that hornet's nest. So they will often have a gap. And if they are in a household that doesn't want to see them around during the day, or if they're on their own and they just don't like being on their own, it's a tough call. In my neck of the woods, we call it doing the tour, and the tour are all the banks, and everyone goes from bank to bank to bank to bank to bank, or telecom to telecom to telecom. They do the tour, and they do well by it. Not for everyone. And
is this a robust market? Like, is there a huge demand for contract project managers?
Yes. Okay. If you have that subject matter expertise. If you've dealt in artificial intelligence, if you've dealt in robotics, if you've dealt in SQL coding, if you telecommunications, if you've got experience working online banking, and the list is just endless. And you are a project management professional with experience, with that subject matter expertise that can fit where in an area that is heavily dealt in by a very large organization, like at a bank in your country and in your region, or a telecommunications company. I use these as very large IT shops, insurance, healthcare, then you're gold.
Okay. Nice.
Yes, they unfortunately or fortunately, they're inclined now to these large organizations to hire contract PMs, and they pay them well and they get rid of them fast. Not because just because the project ends and they get new expertise. I think maybe to their point, they get fresh expertise that's been dealing in that another technology that they have to move to. So yeah, it is robust. There's a lot of work out there.
Nice. So just provided you have a subject matter expertise and area, where you're good, and provided that skill is in demand, then you should be in a good position.
Yep, absolutely. You have to have that subject matter expertise, so they're not going to touch you.
Yeah. All right. What advice would you give someone who's stuck in their role? Now, this person sent this question. So this person has a boss that pushes them to do both project management and technical consultancy, but this person only gets paid for just one role. And the person feels stuck, but they cannot leave because they have family responsibilities. Any advice for this person?
Big world out there, and depending on when you're listening to this podcast, we've just come out of COVID, and so things are changing and things are opening up. Yes, security is important, and yes, you feel very nervous about leaving, but if you're not happy, get out. If you're not appreciated and you're being overworked, get out. And I'm saying that honestly. I said, look around, take some time, think about 6 months. But as someone in my family that was recently, 2 members of my family, both being children of mine, both have left their jobs. And both for differing reasons, but they're young and they realize that life's too short, and they are going to leave and they're going to go find something that's different, that's more rewarding, that maybe is better for their career, better for their for the long term scene, and away they went. And in one case, the company was heartbroken and are still trying to get her back and offer her something different, but she's off traveling for 4 or 5 months. But, you know, we need to be happy these days. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to be secure. But security doesn't mean I have to be unhappy. If you're getting pushed, if you're working 8 hours a day and being paid well, then, you know, that's good. Heck, that's all right. If you're being asked to work 12 hours a day or 6 days a week, no. Look at the competition, look around, get yourself on some of these job boards or areas, talk to a recruiter, because you may be a valuable commodity to somebody else. But you know what? To those listening that are running the organizations, I'd say, and in fairness to them as well, to all of us, tell them the problem. If you just aren't happy, tell them. Don't leave without stating your case and giving them a chance to fix it. Tell them you're unhappy.
Yeah, no, I like the advice of, you know, considering just broaching the subject, because I mean, I'm not sure of the exact situation this person is in. If this person is in a toxic environment, then you might want to, you know, reconsider. But yeah, sometimes we forget the option that you can actually just talk to your boss and let them know that, okay, you know, things are not really working out, and sometimes you can actually just make the case from a logical perspective. Okay, you want me to do 10 things. So which one do you want me to deprioritize? Because my bandwidth is very limited. So sometimes that can just force your boss to just let you focus on the important things. So that's something to also consider.
Communication, honest, upfront communication is absolutely critical. And, you know, we don't want to, why didn't you tell me afterwards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And also, I think one thing that this person might be struggling with is that maybe they can't just find the time, right? Because it feels like, I'm guessing that they are overworked. Maybe they're working 10 hours a day and they can't just find the time to maybe look for something else. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, that can be a challenge, but I mean, what I can say is, you know, see if you can find the time, see if you can network, because networking can be quite helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything you want to add there, or?
No, I think it's important. I just think make everyone understand where you sit. That if it's overworked, then this is the bandwidth, and if they don't recognize it, and if the response is negative and the response is, heck, you know, suck it up, then you know, we have a problem, Houston, and so we got to deal with it.
Yeah.
In one of my family members' cases, they said, I've been very unhappy, and it was, gee, why didn't you tell me? And unfortunately, it was, well, documented. Here are the 3 meetings we had where I absolutely told you I was unhappy, but I've been ignored, and so I'm off to the races. And so sometimes it is a roadblock, unfortunately, but you do need to you need to make it clear.
Communicate. Yeah. All right. So what common mistakes do you see program managers or project managers making early on in their career or mid-career?
Well, I think that it's a very common mistake, and most people just get so busy. We do what we do, and we got the blinkers on, and we do a good job. To anyone young, I would say, take time every year, build your professional strategic plan. Go to a coach or just look it up. Heck, I'll tell you how to do it right now. Get a document out, start writing. Current state, future state, how am I going to get there? And the current state is tough, because you need to, as I say, peel back the onion and be very honest with you, or get somebody in your life that you trust that will be honest with you and understand all about you first, then talk to me about where you want to go. And then we can start talking about how you're going to get there. The mistake is we get into these ruts and we wake up 10 to 15, 20 years later and go, gee, I wish. If you've got a dream, stop the car and let's talk about it. If you've got some plans, or you'd like to think beyond, then you've got to stop and take a breath of fresh air and start putting the plan together. Now, the plan's going to change. Mm-hmm. People say, how can you plan 15 years ahead? You're 28 years old and you've got, you're really busy at a great organization. I said, that's fine. You can have multiple strategic plans. Every great organization out there rewrites their plan every 3 years. And sometimes it's wickedly different. And because of the changing circumstances. So as your family grows, as you grow professionally, as things change in your life, then your plan's going to change. That's fine. I think the mistake is to answer your question again directly, is we just don't take time to think beyond the current state. We should. And that helps us. That helps us just even look at our gaps. Maybe we don't know where it is, but it's really helpful to look at our gaps and our strengths and our weaknesses and leverage and or repair and or fill by going to different conferences, by reading different books, by following different podcasters, I should say, and reading different blogs. And it just, maybe this is right. Maybe I should branch out a little bit. Pay attention.
Yeah, I like that. Just setting some time aside to reflect and, maybe doing this annually. And I know people have their performance reviews, regularly. So you're advising this is separate from that, right? This is you just, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you go into those reviews with your strategic plan already done or the current version already done, and it's updated a bit and you kind of thought it out. And that allows you to say, I've done my plan, my strategic plan, and I need to do the following things in order to get where I want to go. Well, where is that? Oh, nice of you to ask. Let me share you the plan. This is where I'm going to be in 5, 10, 15 years. Wow. But this is what I need to do in order to fix things that I've got going on in my life, and I'd love your support. I would like to get funded 2 conferences. I'd like to take a couple of courses on leadership. I'd like to take a course on Agile or Scrum Master. I'd like to get certified in this or in that. Oh, instead of just saying it because you read that that's important, it's there for a purpose. Why? Because it is required for step 2. Wow. Now you've got some validation for your plans.
Nice.
Yeah.
This question came in. This person has been a project manager or in project management for about 8 years to 10 years, I believe. And the person is looking to transition to change management. Any thoughts on that? And what would you say are some of the key differences?
Well, first of all, let me say brilliant. I think change management is hot. When I look at my project managers these days, when I hire project managers these days, I want them to be beyond the basic. And I've said it already. I want them to be beyond the certification, 10 to 15 years, subject matter expertise, really good at what they do. That's the, as I said, remember the cover charge. And when you come in, so what else have you got is my question. And you may be an agile expert, which is really interesting because I want you to understand the potential of doing things differently these days. Not that we're going to go that route, but okay. And change management is really interesting because a lot of what we do initiates or manages change. No, we're not change agents. Come on, I don't agree with that. We manage projects. Some people say, but David, projects produce change. I don't believe that. Some of them do, absolutely. However, the really strong change agent is a very valuable piece in a lot of what we do in our organizations. We want to keep our people. It is all about people. And if we expand twice the size and not think about the effect it's going to have on our current people and our future people, then we are in trouble. If we want to move to 3 new countries, if we want to produce another widget, if we want to build another product or another version, and it's going to be really rushed, what's going to be the effect of our people? All this is affecting change, and it's all about people. And people are the most important commodity we have out there because things are booming and we're going to lose them. We're going to lose them to our competitor. Hey, that's reality. So the more that we can do to manage change well. So I think it's brilliant. I think that you need to be investigating the change management associations out there. So put PMI aside or whatever else you belong to in the project side and go off over here. just like Agile, Scrum.org, or any of the other options there. So investigate, join, network, learn about the industry, because being a specialist in the change management field with a project management background, your resume, old school word, just went to the top of the pile.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's simple. You've just given yourself a whole new branch of your professional position.
Yeah. Yeah. And change, a lot of organizations go through change. So, if you're not changing, then you're going to be disrupted. That's like a common word now. People don't want to be disrupted. Organizations don't want to be disrupted. So change is something that's always happening. So if you can really master that skill set or have that skill, I think that's something that's going to be very valuable to you and to anybody you work with.
Oh, I think you're doing yourself a big favor by being more. Again, you're saying you want to be more than a project manager. Well, I actually want to get out of the project management space. That's fine, but because you've got that experience, you are even more valuable to me as a change agent or as a change specialist.
Yeah. Any last minute advice or final advice you have for project leaders out there?
Listen, have a plan, folks. I go back to this. I've written on it. I blog on it. I speak on it all the time. If you don't know where you're headed, how can you get there? But, if you just want to swim around and wait for some opportunity, then that's all right. But it's not going to happen. The phone's just not going to ring. You need to take control of your careers by doing some strategic planning around your professional career. And that takes steps, and that takes maybe an outside resource, maybe not. But let's put a plan together. And of course it's not going to work, but you got a plan. Things change. But you know what? I wanted to be a professional speaker. I started planning 15 years before I sold Project World. And that day I sold it and left was going to be the day I launched my speaking career. But it took 15 years to get the books and the blogging and the writing. It took time. And I was in no rush. It was just an idea that that phase of my career, that's what I wanted to do. And, it was one of the greatest things I did for my career. But in order for it to happen, other things had to happen. It was going to take time. So that's the strategic thinking piece.
Yeah, that's a nice place to end. If people want to reach you, how can they get in touch with you?
Thank you for asking. You know what? Two places, davidbarrett.ca. David Barrett, BARRETT.ca is my website, and you can click contact me there. Projectbytes.com is my new baby, my startup as we speak today, and our 20-minute video platform, and you can click on contact us, and I will get that email immediately as well.
All right, there you have it. Thank you very much, David.